And Beckham saw Sullivan off his line. Oh!
This is a private member's bar.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Exclusively for the supporters of the greatest football team in the world.
Cleared, Giggs with a shot. Sheringham!
Manchester United.
Beckham into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it!
And welcome back to the second episode of the Biggie and Smallz podcast, the all things Manchester United fan podcast. I'm Keith, and I'm with my compatriot D. D, how you doing, man? We got a lot to unpack after this weekend. Where to begin? We continue the streak of more conceded goals and just absolutely shitting the bed in the second half. 29 conceded goals in 17 away matches, I believe, is what I saw. I think I'd like to start with, one of the things that I first start, even as the first half, as dominant and we were. I mean, like the possession, I think they said it was like 70-something% for us or whatever in that first half. One thing that stood out to me, though, is, and I think I stopped counting it after the first 10 or 15 minutes, is just how many times Rashford gave the ball away in the final third. Did you notice that, or was I the only one who noticed that?
Oh, no, you definitely noticed that, man. Everyone did. I think a whole complete restart for him at another club. He needs to find a new home at this point. He just looks disinterested. Mm-hmm. I even joked in the WhatsApp group that you and I have that I don't even think he was injured. I just thought he's like, I'm going home.
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
done.
I think you said, well, how did he pull a hamstring? He didn't even put a shift in today.
Yeah, like I think that good old Ratcliffe, ran more miles at that London Marathon than Rashford has the entire season for United. So
no kidding.
But no, he did. He played a very like schoolboy type play. Like I didn't understand the way he played was, it's like a kid who thinks at 9 years of age, that's faster than everybody, that just thinks all I have to do is just kick the ball forward and run after it. But at this point, he couldn't beat any Coventry player. And to be honest, Coventry, they did well and isolating them, but it just proves the different dynamic that Garnacho has compared to Rashford at this point. Garnacho looked like a thorn in the side of Coventry the whole 63 minutes he was on the pitch until Ten Hag pulled him off.
Yeah, it looked like they even switched up on the left and the right at some point in the match.
Yeah, and I think that was Ten Hag again catering to Rashford. I think he realized Rashford's having no luck on the left. Let's put him on the right because Garnacho having so much luck on the right. Maybe the left back for Coventry is not as good as the right back, but then Garnacho went left and was still being a nuisance every single time he went forward.
And he was involved in the first goal. He played on Delot, and
Delo.
He was in. So he was involved. Rashford, I don't know what the hell he was. MIA all match.
Yeah, I think Rashford's probably just going to have to probably find a new home. I think with Mbappe reportedly going to Real Madrid, that PSG's line sort of earmarked Rashford as a potential replacement for Mbappe. Like, if they're going to offer 75 million, they can have him at this point. Like, I don't think he's really.
Yeah,
I know he's Manchester born and bred. I know he's always said he's a Red, but its actions have to speak louder than words at this point. Like, he's not really giving it 150%. Like, it's his boyhood club. He's playing the semi-final in Wembley at pretty much the home stadium of his country that he's played in multiple times for England. You'd think he wants to go out there and prove everyone wrong, shut everyone up, but I have to give. Back to the FA Cup, I have to give Mark Robbins a ton of credit because he started off playing three in the back, and he realized that, like you rightly mentioned, United were dominating them the whole first half. They played well. They scored 2 goals, up 2-0 halftime. Mark Robbins went back and said, "Listen, I made a mistake. I need to go to a flat back 4 again." And as soon as he tweaked his tactics, Coventry looked like a different team.
Night and day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ten Hag didn't adjust his tactics to adjust to Mark Robbins. And Jamie Carragher said something really funny that I thought was spot on, that Mark Robbins was the man that scored the goal that's potentially, if you really want to look at, saved Ferguson's job in the FA Cup. And I think he almost more than likely caused for another Man United to lose a Man United manager to lose his job. So the irony behind that. But Yeah, it was a great, like the first 15, 20, 25 minutes, looked in control. Coventry, no, they showed glimpses here there, but it almost looked like the tactics that Robbins had set up just
Yeah.
it didn't play
I
to their strengths.
I think they only had one shot in that entire first half. It might. I don't. Not. I think it was only one. I mean, and I don't. I
Yeah,
know I'm not. He didn't have much to do that half. I know that.
yeah. I think it was more almost the point where Coventry were more trying to prevent United from doing more damage than trying to do damage themselves. It was
It
damage
looked like they were
limitation.
playing for the counter attack.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's just because they were playing three in the back, and I think they were trying to overload the midfield. So the likes of Bruno, Menu, I know Casemiro played centre back, but like McTominay, though, they would get overwhelmed and give the ball away. And like you rightly said, play into that counter-attack football that they were trying to do, but it backfired because of the likes of Garnacho. And even Hoyland, to his credit, he didn't get much service, but he did. He worked. He looked like a dead man walking.
Yeah, yeah.
At the end, but
yeah. Back to Casemiro. I was kind of impressed with him at center back. I actually thought he looked okay back there. How did you see it? How did you feel about him back there? Considering all the the injuries and stuff.
I think he did well he actually did pretty well with Maguire, considering that that's two of the most immobile defenders you had. Like the only way Maguire does well is somebody who's mobile, like the likes of like a Martinez, and but considering two of them, but they play well for the first half. Like I have to give them that, like, especially Big Maguire. Like we talked about the last podcast, I think that he's shown if we could just bottle the character that man has and put it into the likes of Rashford and other players, like even like if you even give 2% of Maguire's character and personality to Martial,
I know, and I kind of have to, bite my tongue and because I was one of the first one. I think we all shit on Maguire for the longest time, but like we talked about in the first episode, just losing the captaincy and not even sure if you're even going to be on the team going into this year. And yeah, he really stepped it up, and I even think how he handled the end of the match, which we can get into, says a lot about it. Just going up to the Coventry players at the end of the match.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that just shows you the kind of the character he has. Like that was more captain material than some of these players have shown all season. But yeah, he touched on the I don't know if you've seen the post match interview he did. He said, "Listen, like it's the least we can do is try to get the back to a final for the fans' sake." But he goes, "But at the same time, like we did not play well." And he didn't mince his words. And he's not one of those people like right now we're struggling to get through some press conferences with Ten Hag saying that everything's an accomplishment, and where it is, but that collapse in the second half was diabolical.
Yeah. I like to reference our WhatsApp chat. I think you aptly pointed out. You want to know what Ten Hag is smoking, because to say that is an achievement, I mean, good God Almighty, man, I'd be fucking embarrassed if I was that manager. But I get it too. He's also fighting for his job.
No, exactly. He's trying to keep the positive. Which does he have a point? Yes. Is this back-to-back FA Cup finals? Yes. Did he do it in one of the most? And when we use the word embarrassing, I think a lot of people think like that's almost a disservice to Coventry. Coventry are not like, no, they're a championship team. Granted, they're probably not going to get promoted this year into the Premiership because I think they're sitting like 7th or 8th in the Championship. But
yeah, I believe
they're not a bad team. They beat Wolves. Wolves are a great team as well. Like you can't.
Yeah, they're not dumb.
And I think what Ten Hag is not understanding is no one's saying it's embarrassing the fact that they almost lost a championship team. I think what people are trying to say is it was embarrassing that you went up 3-0 and your professionalism and your tactics just went out the window and how everything just fell apart in the space of 25 to 30 minutes. That's the embarrassing part. How you went from complete control of a match to completely falling apart. Granted, the first goal came off the man's shin. It was bad.
Yeah,
but
that was that was fluky.
The second goal came off Wan Bissaka, which I don't think there's 3 lifetimes that I don't have on my hands right now that I could just completely decipher what I call him. Like, he's literally
VAR had a bad weekend this weekend, which we can get into that at some point if we want to.
I call him Arn Wan Berserker because he just doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He's just like, every time he plays left back, he's out of position. He's never, and I get it. And Terry and I know that they're all part of the United Club podcast or United Club group chat we have. Him and I talked on Sunday about it, that I think he's trying to do what we touched on last week, where Dallo sort of gets up forward, pinches into the midfield. I think Arn Wan Bissaka tries to do the same thing, but he doesn't have the technical awareness that Dallo does. And I think United are playing the ball in the back line. They're playing it between Onana, Maguire, Casemiro, and there you have Arn Wan Bissaka doing Arn Wan Berserker, and he's just running up, and he's nowhere to be where he needs to be. He needs to be nice and tucked down just in case United do give the ball away. And a lot of the times, like, all 3 goals were, like, the first goal came down his side where he was out of position. The second goal took a deflection off him, and the third goal was a penalty for a handball.
Yeah, I mean, he's the common denominator.
Yeah, but you can also put that down to what we talked.
Well, and let's also, if Onana doesn't make that save, there might not even be penalty, because that I think it was O'Hare. That was some freaking strike, man.
Oh, the volley. Yep. Yeah. No, that's another man. That's another man that's actually showed some great character. You have to give him credit that Onana went through some really bad spells this season.
He started off rough, yeah.
Yeah. I know Roy Keane gave him a hard touch and saying that United are up 3-0, 3-1, and he gets booked for time wasting and stuff. But, like, I know it's gamemanship. You see goalkeepers all the time, and he was like, "Oh, wanted to go after the 4th goal, wanted to go for the juggernaut, and or going for the jugular." And, like, I get it, but I think from a goalkeeper perspective, you see the whole pitch, and you can see the momentum changing. And I think what Onana was trying to do was trying to calm everything down, not play the ball. If they play the ball fast, they give the ball away and they give another goal, he's going to get blamed, saying, "Why did he play fast? Why did he do this?"
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think you're right. That save he made a big save in the penalties as well. He had some gamemanship. He actually confused a lot of people. He got booked twice. I don't know if you know this. He got booked twice in the match.
Actually, I did, because that was brought up several times in the match. I did hear. Yeah.
So the new rule is that after once the game goes into penalties, it's technically everything that occurred during the match doesn't fall over. So him getting booked in the match, it's like a clean slate. And supposedly Onana did an interview saying he watched Martinez, the Aston Villa Argentina goalkeeper, and said that he picked up on that during their Europa League match, that Martinez did, and he knew that you can get booked during penalties and it won't have the effect at all from the previous booking. So Onana claims he knew that, and that's why he was doing what he was doing during the penalties, was trying to get into the Coventry players' heads. And you have to give him credit, because I can tell you right now, Ten Hag did not tell him to do that. So that's a nice little bit of shithousery from Onana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, way to, like you said, little gamemanship there. I can respect that right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered most everything from the semifinal.
Well, the Garnacho we still haven't talked about, though.
Well, yeah, Garnacho. Yeah, what? I mean, yeah, he's just. I think you actually sent. I did want to get on this. Yeah, you sent in our group chat. It's been 3 different matches now. We've subbed him off with a 3-0 lead, and we've lost all of them. Good God.
Well, no, we haven't lost them all, but we haven't won any.
We've given up the lead in all of them.
Yeah, so against like Liverpool, Chelsea, Brentford, and then now Coventry. So that's like 4 matches that United were in winning position. So against Chelsea, they were up 3-2. We pulled them off. We all know what happened there. Same with Liverpool, they're up 2-1. We know what happened there. And Brentford was the same way. So and now 3-0 to Coventry. So we're just, I think me and my cousin Sean were talking about this, about he's death on Ten Hag, and he said that we were talking about it, and I think at this point I get it that Garnacho liked the post that Mark Goldberg. We touched on it last week. That Mark Goldberg said that he was Ten Hag was scapegoating Garnacho. Garnacho liked the tweet. Blah blah blah. I think sometimes like you can discipline a player by doing things internally. Like I can guarantee you right now, ask any employee in this world, do they like their boss? And if they say yes, they're lying. You're not supposed to like your boss because it's human instinct to not want to have to do what you're told. Like everyone has that little bit of ego where
stick the finger to the man.
Exactly. So imagine being in a position where you have the age range of 18 to I think the oldest player in the pitch is Johnny Evans, I think, or the team is 37.
Yeah. Which that's a pretty big gap.
That's a 19 age gap in there. So you've got Garnacho 19. Social media is all he's known growing up, so he liked to post. For all we know, he might not even do his own social media. It could be.
And honestly, that's a fair point. He might not.
It could be his cousin, it could be his brother, it could be anybody. Like as we all know, like some of these entourage,
you never know.
Exactly. Some of these guys, they make enough money that they can help out some of their buddies, some of their family members, and say, "Listen, I'll pay $50,000 a year to just manage my social media."
Exactly.
But instead of Ten Hag dealing with internally, say, "Listen, like I'm going to fine you a week's wages, or you're going to do some extra running and training, or no, that kind of way." He decided to use it in a match, and again, it's had detrimental effect. He's let his personal ego,
get in the way, which it's it's going to cost him a job.
Yeah, exactly. His personal ego got the best. It's clouded his management decisions make, and Ten Hag's not notorious of being an unbelievable in-match tactician. He doesn't seem to make the right substitutions. He doesn't seem to change his tactics until it's too late. And then some of the tactics he does, implement this little head scratchers. So case in point, that it worked as benefit, but playing Bruno Fernandes in centre back against Liverpool in the quarterfinals. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. I think it is a bit of a toxic dressing room again, but how many times have we said that over the last 10 years?
I don't know. We're losing track. I mean, there's a lot of bad apples in that locker room right now. God Almighty, yeah. I don't even know where to begin with that, but I guess we can transition a little bit to Ten Hag and even Antony's post-game comments now. Ten Hag basically saying this is a big achievement, big win for the club. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you hear something like that and it's like, did you watch the same game I did? Because, I mean, I'm not a football manager, but, I mean, it didn't meet the eye test. That's all I need to know.
It did for the first 65 minutes. Being up 3-0. Possibly almost got a fourth. Maguire almost scored off a corner when it was 3-0. And but then like I mentioned earlier, I think what he's trying to say, and maybe it's lost in translation, but I know the Dutch speak very good English, but I think what he's trying to say is that getting to the final is it's no easy feat. And he referenced back to the historical reference of United's only got in the last so many years only got to 4 or 5 finals, FA Cup finals, and he has a point. He has a point in that, but I was at the last time United were on course to win a treble was in 2007, 2008, 2009, around that area, and when we beat Chelsea in the Champions League final, and they beat Chelsea for the league as well. And they ended up losing. I was actually at the match with Ben Mitchell. We went there when they played Portsmouth at Old Trafford, and Kuszczak got sent off after taking down Milan Baros, and Ferdinand had to jump in nets, and they lost. Carrick somehow inexplicably couldn't score from 2 yards out, but in that match they lost 1-0, and Portsmouth went on to win the FA Cup. But I think that's what Ten Hag's trying to say. and he's trying to spin a positive on it because he knows how negative, and
Things
rightly
are.
so. Yeah, and rightly so. Like the performances aren't there. Like this is at the end of the day, Manchester United might be a sports club, might be the best football club in the world, but it's a business, and that's it's a result business. Like,
Yeah,
did he get a
exactly.
result? Yes, but no, it's the same way you think about the Real Madrid Man City match in the Champions League quarterfinal there. Yeah, Rodri coming out saying there's only one team played football. Well, Real Madrid don't care. They got the result.
Yeah, exactly.
So it might not have been pretty. This match might not have been pretty. Did they have a collapse? Yes. Is there stuff that is there? Everyone knew United's like Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere. We know it.
Exactly.
It's a matter now of this summer is going to be the most interesting summer since Ferguson's retirement, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, as far as what the club needs, new manager, we need a whole host of things. A whole new team basically. But I mean, I try to keep a positive mind about it. I mean, I like well, I mean, it's still early, but I like what Ratcliffe is doing. I mean, he cares about the club. He's bringing in his people basically now. I know they're trying to bring in the guy, was it Wolf or whatever from Newcastle, I think.
To come in as technical director. Well, they brought in Jason Wilcox from Southampton.
Yeah. So I mean, there's things to be positive about, and give them a summer transfer window, and see what happens.
Yeah, Wilcox was actually at the semifinal as well. He didn't look too pleased being a former player himself, but he brought Wilcox in as technical director. They're trying to bring in I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he's from Newcastle. They're trying to bring him in as well for an executive role.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like we mentioned in the last podcast, as Ten Hag, does he need help? Yes, 100%. Will he survive this summer? I don't know. Could he be Louis van Gaal 2.0? Louis van Gaal had a rough season, but won the ended up winning the FA Cup against Crystal Palace, but then was pretty much sacked.
He was sacked almost immediately. The very next day.
Yeah. So, will Ten Hag end up the same way? Possibly, but they have to beat Man City in the final. But we'll see what happens. Like this, in my personal opinion, Ratcliffe has already said that he wants to come in and change the wage structure at the club. And in my personal opinion, the 5 players, and some of them, the 5 top earners, are going to be probably shown the door. It's going to be probably Rashford, top earner, Martial, top earner's gone, Casemiro, Varane, and Sancho. That's each. I think if you looked into it, I think each one of those fellas earn £250,000 a week minimum, if not and higher.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, have to.
Yeah. So let's just say there's 5 players. Let's say on average they make £250,000 a week. So you're talking about 1.25 million a week you're paying. Now imagine if you went out and just got like some quality players. Like look at it. I'm sure Arsenal. I watched the match earlier against Chelsea. They absolutely destroyed Chelsea. And Chelsea.
I didn't get to see it yet. I want to watch the replay, but I know that. Well, looks like Arsenal is. They're very likely to win the league now.
Hopefully, if anyone deserves it, it's them, because they were patient with Arteta. Arteta was getting told to get out of the club, and he's went out and he's been very coy with his business. He's brought Saliba. He's got Ben White playing unreal right by. He scored 2 goals today against Chelsea. And he won't play for England. There's supposedly a disagreement between him and one of the English coaching staff. But that's besides the point. You can try to mimic. United can go out and try to mimic someone else's blueprint, or they could try to go in there and try to create their own. But they need a structure that Ferguson had, and it wasn't just Ferguson that ran the ship. Like we mentioned last podcast, with David Gill was a massive part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're trying to Ratcliffe. I think he's on the right path of trying to create like this kind of technical director, executive football operation conglomerate of people, where they're all in the same mindset. They all have the same philosophy of going forward, not overpaying for players, not paying crazy wages, trying to really get back
to the way, the way we used to be.
Yep. So, yeah. So we'll see what happens. This summer will be very interesting for everyone, for fans, for Ratcliffe, for Ten Hag, for players, everybody.
And to more on that, there's obviously, I've seen, the rumors about Zidane, Tuchel. Do you have a preference on who you want to as a manager should Ten Hag get sacked?
It's hard to say right now. Like, obviously, Zidane is the glamorous pick because of success at Real Madrid. But
I always wonder, is he? I mean, I can't knock. I mean, he's got. He did what he did, but did he just have a world class roster, or was it a him? I struggle with that.
I think here's the thing about Zidane. I think if Zidane walks into a dressing room and
he commands a presence,
exactly, like, not only his presence in the fact of like his footballing career, like he's won everything you can think of.
His playing career is more than enough.
It's stellar, and I think when he walks into a room with, like, if he walked into the United dressing room right now, I think a lot more players would sit up straighter. They would probably come to work with a different kind of attitude. But because I think that's what's going on right now. I think a lot of the previous managers were getting disrespected by certain players. Like, Ronaldo came out and he came out already and was like, "Who's Ralph Ragnick? Who is this?" So straight away, he had influence in that dressing room. So a lot of players like, "I'm going to follow Ronaldo." So that was that done. It's the same here with Ten Hag. You've got the likes of Rashford, Sancho, and some other players within the team that have some influence over players, and they're not 100% back in the manager. So it's like a cancer. It's spreading, and the only way to get rid of cancer, as we all know, you've got to cut it out, got to get rid of it. And but with Zidane, if he was to come in, I think it'll be a short-term fix. I don't see Zidane sticking around for too long. I think
almost like a Jose Mourinho type thing.
Possibly, I think Zidane would come in, he would turn stuff around, but I think the Real Madrid team and this Man United team, like you said, that Real Madrid team was unbelievable.
I know we're not even close to that.
No. But I know Zidane. The rumors I'm seeing is that Zidane was in talks with Bayern Munich, but now Bayern Munich have turned their sights away from him because of the fact he won't commit, because he's been keeping his eye open for the United job. But then also 6 months ago, I heard Thierry Henry come out saying that there's only 3 teams that Zidane wants to manage, and it's would be Real Madrid, Marseille, and France. In France, that's only 3 teams. So I didn't see, and that's, I get it. Marseille was his first club. He's got a huge admiration for Real Madrid, and then obviously he's French.
There's not that he can't learn English, but I don't think he speaks English. Like, it's obviously not his first language, but I don't think he knows English as well as he does like a Spanish, or not that he couldn't learn it.
Yeah. No, exactly. And is he taking English lessons right now? We don't know. Like, Pep Guardiola did that. Pep Guardiola did that before he took the Bayern Munich job. I suppose he was in New York, and before he took the Bayern Munich job, Ferguson went to go see him in New York, and he said during a sabbatical, like, "I've already given my word. I'm going to Bayern Munich. I'm actually taking German as we speak." No pun intended. But he learned German, took the job, but I don't know. Like, Zidane's one. I don't know. I'm really interested in Luis Enrique as well from PSG. I don't know if he was because he did really well at Barcelona.
Yeah,
and then the unfortunate when he became manager of Spain, he had to step away for unfortunate circumstances. And then he took the job at PSG. Like, he's turned, like, that PSG team has just been a revolving door of star players. Like, you had Messi, Neymar, Ramos, all leave. And then. But they're in the semi-final of the Champions League. Yeah,
they don't seem to miss a beat.
No, But I would have loved. I know hindsight 2020 is always great, but Carlo Ancelotti would have been probably the best option.
Yeah.
If he's not, he's Mr. Champions League, but no, I think Everton didn't realize how good they had it when they had him. But he would have been my sort of shoe-in because he has that like Ferguson type
mentality.
Yeah, he does, and then you can just tell the players love him. Like, I can't remember.
Well, and probably another person that when he steps into the locker room, that's probably going to command the presence.
Oh, 100%. He walks in there and like nobody even. Some people are probably even scared to look him in the eyes. But just just imagine look what he did for that Real Madrid team. He told that Real Madrid team, listen, we're not going to play fancy. We're not going to play beautiful football against Man City. We're going to just grind, and you're going to
find a way to win a match.
Exactly, we're going to grind, and Mourinho used to do that back in the day with Chelsea and Inter Milan. But like Ancelotti's able to convince Vinicius Junior to just don't worry about trying to score goals. Just I want you to defend, come on, and they did it. They bought into it. They bought into it. They
the program.
We're right now. Ten Hag, he can't get anyone to buy into anything right now at this point. So we'll see what happens. Like I think if United get the structure, I don't know what's going to happen. Did Ratcliffe and Jason Wilcox and the IRC United see enough this past weekend? Say, don't enough's enough to get him out of here, or did they say, listen, let's get him a structure with a technical director. Let's get him a structure to be able to make sure that the right signings are coming in, the right wage structure's there, the balance within the team is there, the locker rooms.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like cohesive. You give them the foundation, and you bring in a new crop of players that maybe are willing to buy into the team. Does it work out? I don't know. I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, but then again, we go back to the stuff that we talk about all the time, either on here or in our group chat. And I think one of the biggest red flags is just his unwillingness to change his tactics and be. You gotta scheme towards your team, and it seems like he's never willing to change that, and it always comes back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, and I agree with that because the first manager came to mind that had to change his tactics, his philosophy was Pep Guardiola when he came to Man City. He tried to integrate the same tiki-taka football he had from Barcelona, he brought from Bayern, and he came fourth in the league. And he realized, exactly.
That's not working.
Nope, that's we gotta rip up that game plan. He didn't completely divert away from it. He still has he
still has elements of it. It's still present, but
it's ingrained in there.
Yeah,
but he's definitely adjusted the way he goes about playing his football. Like it's still gorgeous football to watch. Like I hate to say it because he's a wee baldy cheating bastard, but yeah, you have to give credit when credit's due. But I did think the funny joke was that if Man City couldn't even face 5 penalties against Real Madrid, what are they going to do against 115?
God almighty, that's a scary thought. God. Jesus. I don't even want to think about that.
I don't know. So, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like it's hard to really put a name to who's going to, if Ten Hag was to go, because I know we talked about it earlier. Like Alan Shearer did come out and say that he believes that the decision's made. He didn't say he's heard anything definitive or not. He more or less is just saying that based off of years of just how the league operates and all that and what he's seen, it's hard to make a case to keep him is more or less what he's saying. Or what he was saying on that podcast. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think anyone's ever said this about Ten Hag, but I think he was a victim of his own success. I think if he didn't win the League Cup last year, get to the FA Cup final, come third in the league, get Champions League football, I don't think that he'd be on the chopping block right now. If he was to have the season he's having right now, last season. Everyone will be saying, give him time. He's coming. He's been thrown into the snake pit. Give him time. Let him really get his. Though the same excuses we heard with Klopp when Klopp came 6th and 7th in the league. Give him. It's not his players. Let him get his players on. Let him get the. So, unfortunately for Ten Hag, he did have a really good first season. He did pretty much come in guns blazing, and now all of a sudden he seemed to have forgotten the gunpowder for those guns, and United are just they're shooting blanks. But we'll see. We'll see. This summer will be very interesting. With the names that are getting thrown in there, I think, as we all know, being United fans, the media loves when United are in turmoil because it gets.
Oh yeah, it's all
it's
all
clickbait.
you see.
It's clickbait.
Yeah, it's clickbait, and people are gonna click it. It's all it's whether it's the Sky Sports, Manchester Evening News. Take your lid. It's always something with United. They love it.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. And the one thing I do, I read an article earlier today with good old Ruud Gullit. He was talking about his former team Chelsea, and how it's been sort of a bit of a disaster season considering how much money they've invested. They're under FIFA Fair Play investigations, and he talked about United, and he said sort of United's in sort of the same boat. And he said the one thing that, and he does have a point. One of the things he mentioned was you don't see a lot of the other teams like Arsenal, Man City. Well, Man City don't really have many legends to even talk about it. If they do, I'm sure none of those fucking Man City fans even know who they are. But they don't see the Arsenal. Like you don't see like Thierry Henry and Lee Dixon and Patrick Vieira and Tony Adams and David Seaman. You don't see all those fellas like from the Premiership legends that won the Premiership, that played under Wenger. You don't see them coming out and really bad mouthing the club when they were going through the hard time. Like you had mouthpieces like Nigel Winterburn saying stuff, but no one even takes them fucking seriously. But you same with Liverpool. When Liverpool were going through their hard times, like United right now United, in my opinion, are going through the Kenny Dalglish, Roy Hodgson era of Liverpool, where they were buying the likes of Andy Carroll, Stuart Downing, and thinking that
Andy Carroll, God Almighty, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then you had Brendan Rodgers, sort of almost got them to the light end of the tunnel, and then he fell off the wayside. But United are going through that process right now. So, as United fans, do we stay like we're spoiled with Ferguson? In my lifetime, anyway, we've definitely been spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at like our age, I mean, the first 20-something years of our plus years, it was all it was is winning. If you, it literally, our entire life, that's all it was is just win. So. Yeah,
exactly.
It's not always good. It's not always going to be good. It just makes you appreciate the good times that much more when they happen.
Oh yeah, I've heard from my father, from my grandfather, that we were lucky that we grew up in the era of Ferguson, because they grew up with Tommy Dock won the FA Cup. You got Wolf McGuinness and the Farrell era, all that kind of stuff. You had Ron Atkinson before Ferguson. Like you had all those kind of eras where United went through transitions, and now we're going through it in our timeline. But we'll see what happens. I think it's easy to kick a man when he's down. And Ten Hag is definitely down. But we'll see. What I love for him to prove everyone wrong, and then supposedly going into this weekend, they're playing Sheffield United, team bottom of the league. The team has absolutely nothing to lose, who are going to probably just throw everything in the kitchen sink at United. And United are supposedly...
Honestly, at this point, nothing would surprise me. I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Well, I can say it right now. They definitely... It wouldn't be surprised me if they give United a match, because not only is it hard to keep a confidence high when every day is something negative being said about the players, and obviously they deserve it considering the performance they put on, but United are completely a shambles in terms of injuries. I don't know what they're doing at training.
Yeah,
but
well, I mean, that's a good transit. Like, McTominay's out. I mean, not that I give a shit about Rashford, but he's gone for tomorrow's match, or for that match. So yeah, I'm pile on the injury even more.
Yeah, well, you got Rashford possibly out, McTominay out. I read just earlier today that Harry Maguire actually paid another. I know we keep harping on, but another testament to his character.
He played injured. I read that too.
Pulled a groin, so that's probably they unfortunately couldn't pull him out because of his he already used all the substitutes, but I suppose he's injured. Lindelof's injured, Varane's injured. Shaw, no, that's always Shaw's always injured. I don't even know where Malacia is. There's just injuries galore. So my I don't know who right now they're saying that United have had 249 academy players get called up 249, and that this weekend they would set a record of the 250th player who would get called up and play in the Premiership. So
that kind of makes me wonder what's the physio team do? Like, I mean, I guess it's injuries, they're freak, but it's like are they training or are they stretching enough, or like are they do I don't like, I just feel like that's a ridiculous amount of injuries.
I know, I agree, and I think they should try to talk to Bruno Fernandes and ask him what he does, because that man seems to be the man. I think he's missed one match for United, and I think it wasn't even injury; it was through illness. It wasn't even injury.
Yeah, I think it was like a flu or what? Yeah, something along those lines.
And trust me, does the man get my nerves? Does Fernandes get my nerves when it comes to his petulance sometimes, where he but you cannot deny the fact that he is easily United's best player at the moment. He's
you can't question his dedication and just say he never misses a match whatsoever.
Yeah. Doesn't miss a match. He played 120 minutes this past weekend, so took a penalty. And Rasmus Højlund too, same thing. He looked like his legs looked heavy in that energy. And fair play to him, a young man stepping up, big time penalty. If he missed it, it could, the whole world would have come crashing down on him. But he stepped up. The only thing I was very disappointed in was, and I understand the players. No, we touched on it earlier that the reaction when they won, you had Harry Maguire walking over, consoling some of the Coventry players. But I think that a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, the almost like they expected they expected United, because United never would have. They were in a catch-22 in this match. So and what I mean by that is that if they would have went on and beat Coventry, say 6-0. Right? Played brilliant football, played them off the park, didn't give Coventry a sniff. Don't know what everyone would have said. They're a championship team. Of course, you should have beat them. No, you have your hands full, man.
Yeah, it's Manchester United versus a championship team. Yeah,
and then you would have seen the article saying, "Well, let's compare their wage bill to Coventry's, or let's compare their transfers to Man United's, and vice versa." So that would have happened there. So now the fact that they almost lost, it's the same situation. They're saying, "How did you almost lose?" Coventry's not that big, and I feel like it's a disservice to Coventry, because the FA Cup, and I think it's hilarious how everyone's up on arms about this, because they're taking away the replay rule now, where if you draw, say Coventry play Man United in the third round and they drew 0-0 and they go to Coventry's pitch and play, they're getting rid of it. They're saying no, it's a one-time match, knock it up, and they're like, well, it's going to take away the revenue. You're taking away the magic of the FA Cup. Well, that semi-final was probably the best indication of the magic of the FA Cup. You had the minnows from, as everyone calls them, the minnows from the Championship. Coventry almost beat mighty Manchester United.
Almost knocking them off.
So if anything, it was the best advertisement for the FA Cup, and the best advertisement to not scrap the replays, because you're taking the opportunity of fans from the lower leagues getting to see Premiership clubs, Championship clubs playing down at their pitches, in their stadiums, that some of these fans would never ever get to see. So it's funny how the people who are bashing United for saying you should have destroyed Coventry, and Coventry, it's embarrassing, but then they're like, no, but we still want replays.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so what do you want? Pick a side.
So we still want the replays, but we also want we're also going to make sure that if a Premiership team doesn't destroy a team below them, then they're embarrassing. So it's like, come on, like you have to. It's the magic of the FA Cup. It's happened before.
Of course. Well, I want to touch on Antony too. Before we sign off tonight. Oh boy, where to begin with that fucking guy?
Oh, yeah, that man's.
You know, this is my initial thought with him, because I read in his post game comments, basically the fans and players, there was some things that were said or whatever. All right, cool, whatever. I was almost like, all right, well, maybe if it wasn't Antony, maybe I wouldn't be that upset if it was the way he was acted. But then I was like, I don't care who it was. It's like, you just got embarrassed. It's like, you were lucky to win that game. Just shut up. Like, just go away. Like, you're a nobody, man.
That man seems to. I think he's had too many disco biscuits at this point, because he never seems to help himself, because he scored a goal early in the season too, against a lower league club in the FA Cup, and he celebrated like like he scored against Man City and there was a joke going around saying that maybe he thought that Coventry City were Man City because they were wearing blue. I think the people were joking, saying maybe he got confused and that's why he acted the way he did. He doesn't have a strongest grasp of the British geography over there. So there are people making fun of that, but
might be missing something.
Yeah, I think with Antony's went through. He's going through it this season. I think anyone's a big one for him. I think at this point, like I think if he really wanted to be, if he really had the cojones, the way he acted, he should have took a penalty.
Yeah,
like he should.
Yeah, exactly.
Casemiro looked like he was running in quicksand the whole like from the 75th minute after, and he was the first one to step up. Now, granted, he's got experience on it, but he didn't have fresh legs. He didn't have fresh legs. Antony.
He literally he came on in like the 60-something minute, I thought, right?
Yeah, he came on for Garnacho.
Yeah, Garnacho, yeah.
Yeah, so around the 65th minute, I think it was, and around and between the 60th and 70th minute, but he didn't play a whole match where you would want fresh legs. Like the fact that Bruno, who played a full match, took one, Casemiro missed one, granted.
Yep.
Højlund took one. And they all played, the whole match. Yeah, Eriksen took one. He came on late as well. But I don't know. We'll see. Antony, he's not doing himself any favors, and I think he might be another one at the top of the list of Ratcliffe to get rid of, just because I think they might try to get their money back on him. I think that's buyer's remorse if I've ever seen it.
I mean, if we can break even on him, I think that would be great, but I think you just get what you can get for him at this point.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like I understand. Again, I think it was very immature of him. That's something I would expect to see from a teenager doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like someone like Garnacho's age, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody like Manu, Garnacho, like, but of course Manu's a different breed, but he definitely seems to be. He seems to be cut from the same mold as like a Jude Bellingham. They seem to be they definitely have a good foundation to them. But Antony's Antony. He's I don't know what it is about players named Antony and Antony from Manchester United, but both of them probably are going to be shown the door at the summer. Yeah.
I agree. And don't let the door hit your way on the at least the one, like. At least Martial had a couple of shining moments. I can't really remember anything Antony did.
The goal against the equalizer against Liverpool in the 86th minute. That's with his right foot, so I'll give him that.
Right.
He's done well there, but Yeah, that's about it. If that's what he's remembered by, like that is what it is. If United go on to win the FA Cup, no, he might. He strikes me as somebody who would go get a tattoo of the FA Cup on his leg or something.
Yeah, like maybe you can get a Champions League tattoo like Mark Clattenburg.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, good old Twattenberg.
Clattenburg.
That's right. Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to touch on before we signed up, because we're coming up on almost an hour over here. I saw the Chosen One had some comments, and I'm just gonna read them real quick, and I want to hear your thoughts on these. The Chosen One says, what Ten Hag has had at Man United that I didn't have. I didn't have the level of support that I didn't have, and I didn't have the level of trust, so I left sad because I felt I was in the beginning of the process. In some moments, I felt they trusted me and believed in my experience, and things could be different. There are still a couple players there that I didn't want 5 or 6 years ago. I think they represent a little bit of what I consider not the best professional profile to a club of certain dimensions, but I did my job there. Time always tells the truth. Love the Chosen One. D, your thought?
I honestly, I actually don't blame him. I don't blame what he's saying. I do understand what he's saying. I do understand what he's trying to get to.
I don't know about the money part, because he did spend quite a bit of money, if I remember correct.
Yeah, I don't buy that for a second. I think what he mentioned about there is that I read a lot more into I watched the interview, or read a lot, didn't watch. I read the interview, and he mentioned that him and Ed Woodward didn't have the best of relationships. So I think that's where the whole support aspect of it is. Like, I think he might have went to Woodward with like a list of names. He's come out publicly and said that he wanted Harry Maguire the season before Maguire signed for Man United. So, but they turned him down because of how expensive he was going to be. And then but I think that's where that stems from. But in terms of players, it's a well documented fact. He does not rate Luke Shaw at all. So he's actually he came out and publicly said that against I think United drew 1 each in a match, and he said that he literally the only reason Luke Shaw played as well as he does because Luke Shaw was on the sideline, on the same side that the dugout was at. So he was able to sit there and tell Luke Shaw what to do and when to do it for the whole 90 minutes, for the whole second half of the match. And that was the only reason he played so well. So he doesn't rate Luke Shaw. And he's come out publicly and said that. I think another dig might be at Martial. He came out and said he wanted to get rid of Martial. So, and they didn't get rid of him. And it was clear he wanted to get rid of Martial. And if you think back in it, do you remember when Martial threw the hissy fit on when Ibrahimovic took his number 9?
Yeah, I remember that.
And he went and complained and said that, well, I have a clothing line, AM or AM9, and now I can't promote it because I'm number 11. And Mourinho supposedly said, well, tough fucking luck. You're not a designer. You're a fucking footballer. So play football. So like, he goes, and he
you know what? I love it. I love him for that.
So, and like, and then he also, I suppose, and this is all through the grapevine, but supposedly as well, he said, if a reason I give Ibrahimovic number 9 because he plays like a number 9. If you play like a number 9, I'll give you number 9, and you give him a number 11, which Martial should be thankful for. Ryan Giggs, one of the best servants for the club, we're number 11. So did Georgie Best. Before he took that can at number 7. But yeah, like Mourinho. Mourinho's also came out and said he would take the United job back as well. He has infinite.
Yeah. It seems like he would. If they came knocking on the door, he probably would take it again.
So yeah, so I think a lot of those comments were had ulterior motives. I think it was to keep his name.
Keep his name relevant. He always seems to. He always likes to comment on his former clubs. I wonder if he'll say something about Chelsea after today's match.
I think he's done with Chelsea. I think I think it's 2 stints at Chelsea. I think it's like, no, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I think that's his mindset. He doesn't want to go back. Same with Real Madrid. You don't hear him talk about Real Madrid very much. He had a short stint there, but some of the stuff he said, I think it's Mourinho. I would say 90% of the stuff that comes out of that man's mouth is tongue in cheek. I think he knows what he's doing. Yeah, he's like I always joked back in the day, before Simon Cowell became what he is now. But Simon Cowell, he was like the football version of Simon Cowell. Yeah. He just said stuff just to sort of get a reaction.
Yeah, exactly. And to his credit, he does, because me and you are talking about it on a podcast.
Exactly, and we're not the only ones probably talking about it. There's probably God knows how many other people. So, exactly. I agree with what he said. Did he get the support? I think he got a lot of the financial support that he claims he didn't. But I think there were certain players that he wanted to get rid of that the club didn't want to get rid of, because I think they already they were financially tied into them, like Martial being one of them.
Of course.
I think they want to get rid of him. I think Luke Shaw's another one. They paid 30 million for Luke Shaw. They paid 36 plus add-ons for Martial. It was up to 58 million.
Yeah.
So I don't think they wanted to. I don't think he wanted to really allow Mourinho to come in and chop and change the team so much, because they also probably thought he wasn't going to be. He's not a long-term solution. He was a short-term solution.
No. And we even all said when this happened that this is basically just a stopgap, because I mean that's an MO.
Yeah. So
and it reviews. How many seasons was he at Roma?
At United?
No. At Roma, where he was.
Roma, he was there. I think it was around the same. He always lasts like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. It's what it seems like. It seems to be his magic number.
Because I think his first season, I think he won the Europa Conference, and then, or maybe it was the second season at Roma, and then he got them to the Europa League final.
Yep.
And then, of course, the wheels fell off, and now he's back to. No, I would love him to be. I would pay.
Are you gonna say I would love to see him on TV?
I would love him to commentate on a match.
I would like almost like a fan zone style.
Yeah, like a match. I would pay premium dollars to be able to see him and Arsene Wenger doing like a fan zone type
Actually, that would be really funny.
Like Chelsea against Arsenal, and they both have to sit in the same, and they're sitting right next to one another, and Mourinho called him. He's a master in failure, or I can't remember what exact terminology the phrase was.
Yeah.
But I'd pay for that. But we'll see. But in terms of like the next manager and all that kind of stuff of United, Mourinho's throwing his name in the hat. I think Zidane might be. Yeah. Tuchel, I think Tuchel's just a German Mourinho. I don't think he's. But in an ideal world, I would love for the likes of like a Michael Carrick. He's doing a great job down there in Middlesbrough. Michael Carrick could do well. Even Kieran McKenna. Kieran McKenna's doing brilliant. He's doing unbelievable. Ipswich. He was part of the coaching staff under Solskjaer. He's doing really well. So it would be great to have some of the. I don't want to love on the good old love story of having a former player come back and do well, but you always hope for it to happen. But it never.
Because there's always that. You remember the playing days, and it feels good and nostalgic. Yeah,
exactly. And
I'll just give you this nugget, and it shows how little I know. Just get the freaking hire right. How about that? I don't care who it is. Just get it right.
Jesus! I think they've been doing it for a decade, so never know. This might be the next decade that they actually get it right. We'll see. But this summer will be interesting.
No doubt about it. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up, man. Was another fun second episode for the Biggie and Smallz podcast. Tune in to us. We'll usually try and get one of these out at least once a week. I'm sure we'll have something to talk about, by maybe Monday or Tuesday of next week. D, before we sign off, predictions for tomorrow. What you got?
I want to say, I don't think a clean sheet will be there, but I want to say 3-1 United.
I was gonna say 2-1 United. So we'll see what happens.
I think Bruno might have a brace, and I think Rasmus Højlund might get a goal. I think Bruno might get 2.
I'd like to see him get one. That would be good.
We'll just have to wait and see what team he's going to put out there. Like obviously, the injuries are going to probably dictate what happens, but we'll see. So,
no doubt about it.
But we'll definitely next week we'll probably recap that match, and maybe we could go through a little teaser of sell or keep for the current squad.
Yeah, that would be a fun episode. Maybe we can get our buddies on here from the United chat to play in that game too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, we'll go through the whole squad list and see, including the ones that are out in loan. Say keep or sell, and then we'll see what happens.
Keep or sell. I like it. All right. Well, that's a good place to wrap it up. We will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.